everyone, I'm Ben.
And I'm Sam.
This is Counterfeit Christianity. Now we want to talk about something a little bit different. We actually tried to film this before, and for some reason, the audio didn't work on just this conversation. But
Maybe
it's okay.
God wanted us to do it again.
Yeah, maybe. This one we're going to talk about possibly what we think the Antichrist could be. I want to talk about the Antichrist and probably the way that people think about the Antichrist and what we've been indoctrinated into thinking it is and what it could be. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been told that there's this Antichrist, this man that's going to appear. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Christian books and movies and stuff around it as well. Yeah. Like, have you seen, is it called Megiddo?
No.
That really old Christian movie from the 90s? It's a little cringe. It's kind of fun to watch. Like, there's lightning from the sky, and then this man, like, turns into, like, a big devil and stuff. Kind of cool old movie.
Yeah, and there was that there was a book series like Left Behind or something.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those. I never read them.
I think
There's a
made
TV series for that too.
I didn't watch the series, but I read the books when I was a kid.
I asked myself, when we live in a world with the media that's clearly dominated by the prince of the air and, you know, the powers that be, you know, and the Bible talks about that. It says, you know, we don't struggle against flesh and blood. We struggle against the powers, the principalities of the, you know, the heavenly realms. Mm-hmm. So when I see stuff like that in the media, so prolifically pushed in the media, I think if that's a God message, then why are the demons pushing it?
Yeah.
You know, why are they talking about this one Antichrist, getting people to look for it?
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of dubious thoughts around Revelation in general because it didn't really appear until 400 years ago. And a lot of the things that seem to happen in it, the world media, you know, that it talks about, the world media and the world at large, which isn't controlled by God at the moment, they seem to push us towards it, which doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said that before.
If it was God's, then why would God's enemies be pushing it?
Yeah.
You know, it seems to me like they're the ones trying to push it to that brink, trying to create that.
Yeah.
And maybe that and Revelations is, at the end of the book, it says to anyone who may change the words in this book, all the plagues, etc., will be added to you.
Yeah, and like, we've talked about the changes. There's so many.
People always talk about the Bible and say it's perfect, it's incontrovertible, every word is holy, every letter is in the perfect place.
Well, someone left a comment the other day about if you say you believe God, but you don't believe that He can make a book perfect and keep it perfect.
The person who wrote the book at the end
said that
would know more than the punter on YouTube or any of us. And especially when people worship the book so much.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy wrote the Bible. He must be amazing. You know, like, except that clashes with your idolatry of the Bible because it says that, you know, this book could be changed. No, I don't want to listen anymore. Like, it's got to be one or the other.
And there's so many changes.
If you worship the book and think that it's infallible, the book itself says that it's not.
Yeah.
And we've digressed a little bit.
Yeah, but still.
But it seems to me like, I don't know, that all this stuff is pushing towards a conclusion or a big confrontation or a big war or something.
And a lot of Christians live their life for when Jesus comes back, so they don't live now. They don't live with God in freedom now. Well, and that's a big part of it too.
What I really think might happen, this is a bit deep, is a lot of the bad stuff happening in the world to me is rather obvious. Like the media tells us and tries to, you know, nullify it and say everything's fine, you know, men being women and, you know,
all that stuff.
All the crazy crap happening in the world right now that's upended society and normal human civility. You know, it's almost like they're creating the conditions to come and save us.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like they're going to make the world get so bad and so tense and wars and threat of nuclear war and all this stuff that they have someone come in and pretend to be the savior.
And then they can say...
And everyone's going to flock to them and everyone's going to give them their heart.
And they'll say, everyone needs to go live in the line. Remember we talked about the line that they're building? This huge building that wraps around the whole world that everyone's just going to go live in?
Yeah, right.
They're already building it in Saudi Arabia or something. Yeah.
Is it going to float?
It's a huge mirrored building.
I guess I'm glad we're on an island.
Yeah, it might not get to us. They'll have to go under.
But yeah, I really wonder if, you know, all this stuff has been created and a lot of the stuff maybe has been changed in Revelation to push us toward this point, because ultimately I feel like these bad powers, these demons, have long sought like a one world government. They want to control the whole world like it was before the flood. Mm-hmm. And you have to destroy all the nations and break them apart to do that. So if you create all these issues and problems and wars and etc., and then come in as the savior to a broken world, it's similar to what actually happened in World War II.
Yeah.
You know, the United States came into a broken Europe, and now the United States is still there, and it sort of controls Europe economically and militarily.
Everything. Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting because people talk about the Antichrist, and it's like we're being set up for someone to come and be that Antichrist, to be that savior almost.
Yeah.
But
what else could we think that the Antichrists might be? There's so many in this world. Like we specifically.
What's something Antichrist? How about abortion?
Yeah.
You know, killing babies. There's one.
Yeah.
How about building
Anything,
massive church buildings that generate revenue instead of helping people?
Yeah.
Jesus would be real keen on that.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the church is an
anything that
Antichrist.
separates you from
If
God.
anything, I've long considered the church to be, like the institutional church, to be God's greatest enemy on the face of the planet.
Yeah, I agree.
Because nothing brings more damage to the message of the gospel, the message of hope, than those people who trash it and make God
Christians.
look crap.
Yeah.
Like they make God look mean, angry, judgmental, like he's going to get them, you know?
Yeah. If there was going to be one Antichrist, I would say, and I think it's not, I think it's all the things that separate you from God, whatever it is. The Bible can be that from a lot of people because they worship the Bible as God. But then Christians can also be the Antichrist. And then the church is also the Antichrist.
When they're pushing people away from the message by their actions and their behavior and their lack of love. Yeah. You know, when you're judging people, that's not love.
Yeah, and when I say
they are an Antichrist.
When I say Christians, I don't mean obviously there are good Christians out there, but like in general, the Christians in my life, Christians are the worst people I've ever come across.
There are a lot of dumb Christians who hurt other people, but it's because they're just doing what they're told.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it's okay.
And that's why the institution is the Antichrist. Like that, the church, like the Christian institutional church, is an Antichrist.
Yeah,
yeah. So I just thought it's an interesting question, an interesting thought, because I think that they, like you said, they want us to be thinking that it's one big thing, and we all need to keep our eyes open. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
it's one idea.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty legit. But like, we don't say anything is truth, do we? We just say, this is. Well,
we like to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Most people these days they pick something, they attach it to their own personality, their ego, their self-esteem, and then if you disagree with it, it's like you've attacked their self-esteem. Instead of looking at it objectively and go, well, I believe in it because of these facts and at this time and because of this, you know, they say, well, I decided to believe it, and if you don't, then I hate you.
Yeah.
That's the modern day.
Yep.
Like, if you can't objectively, you know, separate an issue from yourself and actually, you know, pick it apart, create justifications as to why you do or don't like something, you know, and you are allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and once you have an opinion, it's yours. No one can really tell you it's right or wrong.
It's good to have an opinion that is possibly able to change. True, that's where we are.
God brought me to that point. I used to be very tribal and very
knowledge based.
You mess with my my ideas that I've clung to, then I'm going to take it as a personal attack. It's God who taught me that, hey, you need to sit on the fence. You need to actually listen to this and break it up using your intellect.
That's been a big part of my journey, is sitting on the fence. That you taught me that.
God taught me that. But he gave us an intellect to think, you know, and to make decisions and have critical thinking skills. And that is another part of why I find it so annoying that Christians worship the Bible, because it's like it's almost like, it says this. I know that context is from 2,500 years ago, but this guy in a suit told me that it works this way because that suits him for this reason. So that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no, God didn't make you to be rigid, regimented, and drone-like. He made you to think for yourself.
Yep. That's why I think knowledge is pretty evil. It's a pretty evil thing. I don't want to even say that I know anything anymore.
If you know a good Star Wars quote, it's there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, and knowledge and understanding. I wanna. That's what I've got to do with. I think that's a really interesting thought around being with God. Like, do you know God or do you understand Him? Are you with Him?
Well, you think you understand Him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Christians think they know God because of their Bible worship or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't really know God until you know Him. It's hard.
I feel like I don't know Him yet because it's a huge journey. It's like a full lifetime of getting to know Him more, understanding Him more. That's what I think about us, is like, we don't know each other. Like, when you think you know someone, then you can make assumptions. I'd rather ask you what you think or what's going on so that I understand what you're saying.
You're always continuing to get to know someone.
Yeah.
You never really know someone all the way, do you?
Yeah. What is it? I looked at synonyms for understanding today. I don't know why. I just like that word, understanding. But I don't like it because it's a legal term that they use against us in legality stuff. Like, do you understand? Tick the box. If you do, it means you stand underneath. And the Australian government uses it. The police say, do you understand? You can say yes, then they arrest you, that sort of thing. So don't say understand to a cop. But like, I looked up synonyms for understanding, and it's appreciate is a synonym to understand. I found that really interesting. And like,
appreciate.
Yeah, so it's like, I appreciate a lot of people. And that means like, I want to understand you. I just literally in the car ride, I said, hey Google, give me some synonyms for understanding.
You could only appreciate something if you understand it, right?
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that's it.
Makes sense.
I love that. That really stuck out to me today as something interesting. And
it's such a different paradigm than trying to shove things down people's throat. Sitting and thinking about it yourself versus someone's told me this, where can I insert it? That's the most Christian's mentality, right? And people hate it. And you can't really talk to anyone about God because these self-serving idiots have tried to shove God down their throat, or their version of God down their throat. And whenever I talk to people, if I have to talk about or want to talk about something to do with God or spirituality, I preface it every time. Like, I believe in God. I used to go to church, but I can't stand institutional church anymore. I think it's evil. Yeah, I preface it every single time. Yeah. So I say, I'm a Christian. Straight up, they're like,
Here we go.
Hypocrite, liar, money thief, arrogant person who's going to tell me I'm going to hell. Yeah. Like, I want to avoid all that because I can't talk to them. All the dumb Christians have ruined it for anyone who actually is with God, because once you mention his name, they will think of them. Yep.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a Christian anymore.
I call myself a believer.
Yeah, a believer. I like to say man with God, someone who's on the way. I like that. It really feels good to me.
MWD.
Yeah, exactly.
Muga.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, there's lots of things to think about there. I don't know. We started talking about
in general. We would encourage you to consider everything, and don't be afraid to ask a question, because a lot of the time the reason people can't progress any further is because Christians and churches have taught them that if you question something, you're bad. You ask that question, you're a sinner.
I was just going to say,
you can never ever be bad for asking a question, ever.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't ask the question at church, bro. You'll get fucked over. Ask somebody else.
Ask the question at church so they kick you out,
and then
you're free. Then you can get to know God. Honestly, I didn't get to know God properly until after I left church. Yeah. And it was like all the noise disappeared, and I was like, oh, I can hear you now. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
No, it's a fact. So yeah, I forgot to say this in other videos, but yeah, make sure you subscribe and follow us and all that sort of good stuff, and tell us what you think. Leave comments and questions and criticisms. It's fun. And we appreciate you. We appreciate people watching it, right? It's good.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.